Hi everyone, delonewolf here, and welcome to the Sunday recap, my weekly vlog where I cover the stuff that I did and noticed in the last week or so. So when it comes to EVE Online, we were under a war deck during most of the week, but it was a very uneventful war. In fact, I played less than average EVE Online, but I never saw any of the enemies come online. So I think it's because we accepted allies to join us in this war, and it turns out that the alliance that asked to help us here were basically specialized in this because they have something like 60 wars going at the same time. So those are really PvP guys that were looking for wars to join in high sec so that they have more and more targets to shoot. So I think that may have spooked off the enemy. It may also be that they were happy with the kills they got on the first day, so we were caught off guard a little bit, lost the Nemesis and the Catalyst, and that they just said, well, we're positive in this war, you know what, we're just gonna keep that, it's a nice little victory for us to have. So that meant that I didn't play that much EVE Online. We were basically, during the first weekend, we had a few PvP ships ready and we were ratting a little bit in K1Y, just seeing if they would come online, but they never came. So after that we decided, well, we'll make a few bait procurers so that we could do a little bit of mining and see if that would entice them into a fight and have some backup ready, but it just never materialized. So all I really did was spend some time in space looking for enemies that never showed up. After that, I did still play a little bit of Diablo 3, but not that much anymore. I've managed to finish like the base objectives of Season 5, which grants you like the pet. I think that's like the coolest part of what you can earn there is a little pet. So once the season ends, I'll have that. But at this point, you can go for like Slayer objectives and do more and more hard things. But I've been doing a lot of rifts, and the legendaries that drop there are not very useful. You know, it's really rare that they're actually super useful, and so I do get the feeling at this point, if I want to progress even more, it's going to take a huge amount of time just to fully optimize all the gear and things like that. In fact, if I don't really find anything else to do, what I would personally do at this point is just roll a second character in the season and blow through the objectives on that one as well. But at the moment, I'm not really planning to do that. One thing that I've not figured out yet, and I haven't really had the time or the energy to do it, is how the cube works. So that's a new thing where you can extract legendary powers or something like that. I haven't really figured out how that works, but I think it could be a cool addition. It could be something that I may check out and try to fully understand before I completely end this Season 5 playthrough with the Crusader. But it's definitely been a lot of fun. It's very accessible, I should say. If you want to have something that's like a grinder, just like Path of Exile, but that is super accessible and can be basically done in maybe 10-12 hours of playing, then something like Diablo 3 is definitely something to check out, because I think it's both an advantage and a disadvantage that Diablo 3 takes a lot less time than Path of Exile to come close to the point where you're almost optimal for the end game. What I did jump back into a little bit is some Fallout 4. So I'm continuing playing with my gunslinger character. It's a little bit surprising that I actually managed to keep going with the gunslinger character, because this is the second time where I took like a decent break from playing Fallout 4, but I jumped back in with my gunslinger character and actually found stuff to do. I'm just working on leveling him up a little bit, but the three settlements that I've made are basically ready for what I want them to do and to look like. And so that means that I can fully keep focusing on the character, and it's a lot easier to jump in. So I would say that if you plan to have like a character that becomes the one that's ready for any DLC that comes out, so that you can pick the game back up, a really important part of that is that you should like basically plan out what you're planning to do with the settlements beforehand, because if you don't do that, that just becomes such a mess, such a huge volume of stuff that you will still need to do and optimize, that I think it makes it just that more likely that you'll just re-roll a new character and try to find a better way to do it. So I definitely went with something like surface bunkers, where I had an idea of the layout that I wanted to test. I also have a uniform for all of my settlers that are pretty easy. That's pretty easy to gather, and then I just give them all institute weapons so that they look like it could be institute synths that are actually wandering around and creating those bunkers on the surface. That's basically the premise that I went with. And so now I'm leveling up my character, and after this I'm just going to join the institute, see what fun there is to be had there, and then I'll be ready for any DLC that drops. Fallout 4 is a really fun game, to be honest. I've already spent quite a few hours in it, and I'm definitely going to jump in on DLCs, because I do wonder what Bethesda is going to do with all of that. But so far, yeah, I've just been leveling up the gunslinger character, getting ready for all of that. So that was it basically for last week. I didn't play any Banished or any note Banished that's actually worth mentioning. When it comes to the news, of course, in EVE Online, there were a few pretty interesting items. So of course the skill trading hit with a bit of a bang in Jita on day one, with huge volumes and quite a bit of success. And so far, honestly, it looks like everything is okay with the skill trading and the sandbox. Of course, as I've said on Twitter in response to a Wingspan's tweet there, the law of unintended consequences does have a bit of a longer horizon than just a few days after launch. And so it's going to be something we need to keep an eye out for. That is the impact of the skill trading on the longevity of the game. But that is, of course, not something you can do beforehand, let alone be able to measure that really spectacularly. So we'll see how all of that works out, but it was pretty damn interesting. And when it comes to EVE Online, there are also 2 more dev blogs that have dropped. I'll see if I find the time to cover those in a video next week, but they are of course related to the Citadel expansion. One of them is I think pretty interesting for any capital pilots, especially carrier pilots. What I found to be really interesting there is that CCP basically confirmed that any carrier with a remote repair module in it, fitted in it, whether it's in space or in a station, is actually going to be changed to one of those new force auxiliary ships, one of the new remote repping capital ships that CCP is going to deploy with the Citadel expansion. That's something that I had not heard about, but apparently CCP had already dropped hints towards that, but it's pretty much confirmed that that's the scenario that CCP is going to play out here. So that on day one, alliances that have a lot of carriers that are used for the remote reps at the moment have the option to just keep fighting or start fighting with the new remote rep specialized capital ships. So that was pretty interesting. And when it comes to the structures, the citadels themselves, not a lot of news, but a really interesting one was that CCP is dropping the new type of fuel block. So I fully agree with that. I think it's awesome news, because the plan was to have all racial isotopes needed for the new fuel blocks, which would make it quite difficult to make, especially for solo players and small gangs, because you need a lot of goods from very different spaces in order to then make those fuel blocks. So that's just dropped completely, which is really good. The citadels will be able to use any of the existing fuel blocks already. The one thing that they are going to change though is that you'll need something, what are they called? God damn it. Not isotopes, but strontium. Yeah, that's right. You'll need strontium, which is used for the shields in the bosses at the moment, into the making of the fuel blocks. Probably when Citadel hits, it could be in a release before that in March or something like that, if they want to increase the supply of that already. Yeah, I think that is basically really good news, because it was something that was in the back of my mind. How the hell am I going to get all of those fuel blocks? It's going to be really costly, really difficult to make myself. What am I going to do about that? But that's just a headache that's gone now. We'll just be able to keep buying Galente fuel blocks, or whatever is the cheapest fuel block actually, and dump that into the Citadel and get everything running that way. So that was really cool. When it comes to other news, this basically just dropped. You can now pre-order Doom on Steam. I don't usually recommend pre-ordering, and for Doom I'm not planning to pre-order myself, but of course I know that there will be a lot of people that have played a huge amount of Doom years and years ago, so they could be really big fans, and if you want in on that day one, then yeah, a Doom pre-purchase on Steam is possible at this point. I do think I'll check the game out, but I may just wait for like a few reviews to make sure that it's actually worth the money, and I'm always open to just wait a few weeks or months for a discount on games on Steam. So we'll see how that works out, but if you're a gamer that basically grew up on Doom, and there's a lot of those out there, then yeah, for your consideration, you can pre-order Doom, which is coming out on May 13th, so we don't have to wait that long anymore either. Pretty cool stuff. And that's it for the gaming news, but there is of course some real world news that I quickly want to talk about. I thought it was really cool. So those gravitational waves that have been detected directly for the first time, that was news that was pretty big on Reddit for a few days. This one is on the BBC News website. If you're not in the know about this, you know, if you haven't heard anything about this, I mean, you should be living under a rock, to be honest. But it's really cool to think that an event that happened like 130 billion years ago, where two black holes merged, created these gravitational waves of enormous magnitude. I mean, the numbers when it comes to the amount of energy released, they're just absolutely mind-boggling. It's not something we can really comprehend without a scientific background. But they create those gravitational waves, and now 130 billion light years later here on Earth, that event created a small blip that was actually detected by machines created by humanity. That's just really, really cool, and for a few days you really did get a bit of a vibe that, well, here it is, humanity, science, progress, all of that did come to the forefront quite a little bit. I liked the reference that was made that before this, we could only see what was around us, so everything, all our observations were basically based on light. It's not exactly light, there's more to it than that, but now for the first time we were able to hear something. It was an absolutely massive event, of course, but the hope is that this will allow us to improve on this technology and have a completely new way of discovering the universe around us. It's really cool to think about. It made me put a few Carl Sagan videos on repeat, and honestly it was a lot of fun just reading up about all of that, reading all of the comments from scientists that were really excited about the potential of this technology. And yeah, as an EVE Online player and someone that loves sci-fi, stuff like this is really great in my opinion. Anyways, that's what I wanted to share with you guys on this Sunday recap. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all next time.